What is up, guys? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. What is it, Saturday? Today's Saturday? Go Bucks.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you?
What is up, guys? It's gonna be wild. Come on in. Let's do this.
All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, I haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
Woo! Let's do some shots. Trulies.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car and the other one.
It's Truly's for the win.
That I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay? They all knew about it. Yes, Noel says, do you remember when they asked who lives here and he said, I don't know, but my roommate does. Yeah. We're going to get rowdy. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Transparency. Come on in. Woo. Lana, did you see the Megyn Kelly thing? Yeah. I think Megyn Kelly's lost her fucking mind. Okay? I told you. She's... I think that was actually from a while ago, and they just put that clip out, to be honest. Go back and check and see if what outfits they're wearing when they did their last encounter. Again, guys, what is up? Welcome. How's the hair going? Hair's great. Hair's great. You guys, did you read the title of this live? Okay. The title of this live is A Dead Man. A dead man is on the witness list. I got both copies of the witness list. I got Drake's side. I got Moore's side. Wow. You guys, a dead man is on the witness list. He didn't just die either. This isn't just any old person, you guys. The witness that's dead and has been dead since 2020. Okay. So let's see. 2020. Witness has been dead since 2020. Clark Halverson has been dead since June of 2020. And he is on one of the witness lists. How does that happen? What do you guys think? How does that even happen? Okay. We're going to talk about everything, guys. We're going to talk about the Idaho 4 case. We're going to talk about these witness lists, okay? I just want to know how it is possible, how it is humanly possible to put out a witness list, Can I get a witness? And they motherfucking dead. How does this happen? Well, only in Idaho, guys. Only in Idaho does this happen. Okay, so on 12/17/2024, a witness list was electronically filed. Okay. A witness list was electronically filed on behalf of the Moores by their attorneys, Matt Dugan and Dana Bowes. On 12/17. Now, this is really important to understand this timeline. On 12/18, the day after, was the withdrawal motion hearing. So for whatever reason, they put in a witness list that by all accounts did not even need to be in. One of those people on that list on 12/17/2020, okay, was a dead man. Clark Halverson. Clark Halverson. Dead. June 2020. Now get this. Get this. There's more to the story. Clark Halverson's dead. He makes a witness list, though. A couple days prior to the filing of this witness list, okay, you guys know you have to do like admissions or interrogatories. It's a part of discovery if you want to use and go that route. Well, a couple days prior to this filing on 12/17, there was interrogatories that were done, and it had to do with Clark Halverson and his funeral. You guys, this means there was stuff that had to be filled out. People were asking, did you attend Clark Halverson's funeral? Okay. Please admit to the following. Did you attend Clark Halverson's funeral? Yeah. Admit. Sure did. Did you speak at it? Sure did. Admitting to this, okay? This came out in like the end of November. The end of November, there was Jennifer Drake is asking the Moores if they attended Clark Halverson's funeral. And if they spoke at it. Then 12/17, so how many days later? 17 days later? 20 days later? Moore's attorneys put Clark Halverson down on the witness list? After your clients were just asked if they attended that man's funeral in 2020? You guys, I don't even know what to say. If that doesn't scream incompetence, I don't know what does. I mean, okay. So, yeah. I didn't even know that there was a witness list submitted on 12/17/2024. But if you actually live in Bonners Ferry or close to there, you can actually go to the courthouse and obtain documents. You can use the computers. You can get your hands on stuff. You could just always keep checking the dockets, all the different dockets. So on 12/14, so Christmas Eve, on Christmas Eve at 1:49 p.m., Jennifer Drake filed her witness list. She's the plaintiff in the case. Okay. What's up, Heather? Merry Christmas, baby girl. So get this. So now, so 12/17, the Moores file a witness list. with a dead man on the list. Clark Halverson has been dead. He did not just die. He's been dead since 2020. Dead since 2020. And there were questions about him. Like, everybody knows Clark Halverson is motherfucking dead. Everybody knows this. But somehow, whoever submitted the Moore's paperwork with a witness list, and it wasn't like Clark Halverson was number 15 on the list, like the last person or the first person. He was right there in the middle of things. I think number 11 out of 15 people. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know, like, how does that happen? How is that a typo? It's not a typo. Clark Halverson is like Bob Smith. Clark Halverson, put him down on the witness list. I'm sorry. I came to have some fun with this one tonight. Now, we're going to reveal first Jennifer Drake's witness list. Okay. Jennifer Drake has 30 potential witnesses that she could call in her case. Witness number 1 that she lists is Mallory Stipich. Mallory Stipich. Now, Lana, who's Mallory Stipich? Mallory Stipich was the dispatcher for Boundary County in 2020. Okay. So, Mallory Stipich, Boundary County dispatcher in 2020. She went on to be a police officer for a very, very short stint. And yeah. So, next up, on Jennifer Drake's list is no other dispatcher. There's no Kootenai County dispatch. There's no Bonner County dispatch. It's only Mallory Stipich. Okay. Number 2 on the list. Now, remember, I told you guys that this was going to be like a mini criminal trial because there was never a criminal trial. You have to explain this to the jury, everything that happened and why, if you're Jennifer Drake, why Dan Moore is the one that's responsible. Okay. Number 2, Michael Venezuela. Michael Venezuela. Now, Michael Venezuela, he was Boundary County deputy, like officer. He allegedly found Dr. Drake when he was piercing through the window and saw a man laying there on the ground and called it in at 7:53 and some odd seconds on the night of the murder. Michael Venezuela he had turned in a report, but he has never supplied any body cam footage of his person except for when he was the one that was recording Isaac Funderburg being interviewed by Marty Ryan. Okay. So Michael Venezuela. Michael Venezuela is also the guy that shot and killed a pregnant woman when he was working in Sandpoint. That video I showed you, that clip. Okay. Next up, number 3 on the witness list, Alan Schleff. He is Boundary County Sheriff's Department. Alan Schleff was another person that was walking around trying to find, where these gunshots came from, or this person that was. Alan Schleff had his body cam on. Alan Schleff was being signaled by Mike Venezuela to shut it off so he could tell him about an earlier incident that day, but didn't want Alan Schleff's body cam on. Alan Schleff does not use gloves when he's searching and clearing the building. Also, Alan Schleff will be able to testify to the fact through his body cam that every exit and entry point of Dr. Drake's building was 100% unlocked. Very curious as to why Alan Schleff's on the witness list for Jennifer Drake. Alan Schleff did supply a report. And it's going to be very interesting. But his body cam was on at different points. And his body cam gave me the ability to pause it at just the right second when his body's turning to then be able to see in the drive-through the SUV, and that there was just a bunch of dudes standing around the SUV. One wouldn't think that somebody had just found somebody's body and one person's in the vehicle, another person standing outside of it, and then another person to the right of it. You would think that people would be running to get inside. I agree. So tired of the corruption here in North Idaho. Boundary County is a septic tank that needs drained. Woo-wee! Say it loud, say it proud. These people were never banking on me ever finding this case. 100%. 100%. Witness number 4. Now, I'm going to toot my own horn here. I told people this was going to be a mini criminal trial, and if you didn't think so, you whack as F, okay? Jennifer Drake's witness list proves that it's a mini trial. Criminal mini trial. Witness number 4, come on down. Brandon Johnson, corrupt as F. Woo-wee. Brandon Johnson, woo-wee. It's going to be so easy to just go at the credibility of these witnesses, such as Brandon Johnson. He's found himself, he is the Boundary County Sheriff's Department. Well, he wasn't then, and he isn't now. Brandon Johnson is with Bonners Ferry Police Department. It has it listed down that he's with the Boundary County Sheriff's Department. Unless Brandon Johnson has recently switched jobs, he, at the time, was with the Bonner Ferry Police Department. So there's a difference. You have the Sheriff's Department in Boundary County, but you also have Bonners Ferry Police Department. Brandon Johnson has found himself in a lot of hot water over the course between the murder and right now with questionable stuff. He was found deleting body cam footage in an alleged sexual assault. I mean, there's a lot of things that are questionable that man has done. He wrote up a report in this case. He also had body cam on. He also had multiple phones on him. That's going to come up, or it should. His body cam proves that he had multiple phones, proves that he gives or is about to give one of the other officers one of his phones. They were taking pictures with these phones. That means these phones are discoverable if you're using them for work. Were they ever turned over? Were these pictures ever turned over? Now, Brandon Johnson, he had a report. He was in charge of watching the building and supposed to be noting who's coming and going. Well, it's going to be really hot in contentions when we get to Dave McClellan and his old bubbly bearded ass. Dave McClellan is escorted with Brandon Johnson, goes into the building, and allegedly just checks out the crime scene but doesn't touch anything. Well, the records are going to contradict that when you look at Brian Drake's cell phone extraction. Brian Drake's cell phone extraction tells a completely different story, which is that at some point between 8:16 p.m. and 9:52 p.m., Brian Drake's personal work phone was 100% accessed. Somebody used it. That means somebody picked it up. It was used by human hands to open it up and view 2 text messages. Well, Anna, how do you know that? Well, because Brian Drake was dead well before 8:16 and 8:17. So there was 2 text messages that were open and read after 8:16 p.m., but before 9:52 p.m. Who only had access? The Mo-po-po-po. Woo! I love it. Again, this is Jennifer Drake's witness list. Carry on our wayward son. Carry on, Lana Brains. Getting in some last support before I start my no spend. Oh, God, that sounds like fun. No spend January challenge. Well, be sure if you're going to break it here. Thank you. Welcome, new member there, Sparrow. Next up, witness number 5. the man of the hour, when he takes a stand, all eyes will be pierced on this man. And his name is Detective Michael Van Leuven. Michael Van Leuven was the lead detective in this case. Michael Van Leuven wrote up hella search warrants in this case, and they would all be hella bad search warrants. They would be subject, if this was a criminal case or this is a criminal investigation still, somebody was arrested, and they would be subject to exactly what's happening right now in the Idaho 4 case. These would be suppressed. This would be the highly, like, this would be basically the pain of the Idaho 4 case. Michael Van Leuven, he would have a lot of explaining to do with a PowerPoint presentation that he used to obtain all these search warrants. A PowerPoint presentation and Excel spreadsheet that omitted very, very material information that is highly exculpatory for the good Dr. Moore. Next up, so Michael Van Leuven, no surprise there. Number 6, Timothy Snell. Yes, Snell. You guys know that last name from the Idaho 4 case. Timothy works with the Idaho State Police, District 1. And Timothy Snell, he ran the drone for the aerial photos and did the crime scene photos for this case. So relation to Aaron Snell, you're going to have to ask him how they're related. I mean, I'm sure they are. Snell, Timothy Snell, Idaho State Police District 1. So again, he's going to be the person that's able to, they're going to be using it for exhibit purposes, any of the photos. So you're going to have Timothy Snell testifying to, yes, he was there. This is what he did in the case, and it all centers around the exhibits with the photos. And I got so many questions for that. Why in this picture are the keys turned on its back? Okay. But then the next camera, the picture that you took, the keys, which you have not touched yet, are faced opposite side now. How is that possible unless you move the keys? Can't wait for it. Wait for it. Crazy. Number 7, okay, is Dr. Sally S. Aiken. That's your medical examiner. Sally Aiken has retired. She's out of Spokane. Sally Aiken out of Spokane. That's where they would send everybody. They went to Spokane. Sally Aiken, mark my words, you're going to hear it here first. I believe Sally Aiken is going to play way more of a role as being basically a witness for Dr. Moore. More so because the autopsy in no way, shape, or form corroborates in any way, shape, or form what Detective Van Leuven put in reports. It actually contradicts. Their narrative. So it's going to be really, it's going to be pretty amazing. I want to know from the good Sally S. Aiken here why Brian Drake's hands were perfectly pristine. There was no blood on his hands except for a little spatter on his left pinky. And you would think that a man's trying to reach for and touch his wound, trying to find it, right? And to apply pressure to it or see that he in fact is bleeding and that he truly was shot. Like your hands, it's normal to go and try to find where you were shot. Brian Drake's hands on the floor, the only time you can see his hands in any pictures are when any pictures that were taken physically at the crime scene. Okay. Also Timothy Snell, he attended the autopsy. But now this is where it gets interesting. Sally Aiken's going to have to say who was taking the pictures during this autopsy because guess what? Ready? Why was there no pictures taken of Brian Drake's hands at the autopsy? Show me the pictures of Brian Drake's hands at the autopsy. Everybody takes pictures of hands at autopsy. It's very, very important. Where are those pictures? Where are they? So again, that was Sally Aiken is your medical examiner. Forensic Pathology Services. Number 8, Brittany Wiley. Brittany Wiley is out of Idaho State Police, District 1. Okay, District 1. And Brittany Wiley tested in 2023 a gun that was turned in and over. Jennifer Drake waltzes down to Idaho State Police and says, here, I want you to test my gun and test it against the bullet that you found in my husband. What? Why didn't they test it in 2020? It's gonna be great, whatever Brittany Wiley wants to testify to. But that's one of the things that happened with Brittany Wiley. Brittany Wiley tested. Jennifer Drake sent a gun, walked down and went to the Idaho State Police 2023 and said, can you test this gun? Well, here's the punchline. Jennifer Drake, in recorded interviews with the Idaho State Police, was shown pictures of 3 guns, and she said she had never seen these before in her life. Didn't know what they were. Those weren't her guns. Meanwhile, Jennifer Drake can then be seen texting with her mother-in-law in text messages with these pictures of these 3 guns just a couple years before the murder. And rumor has it that Brian Drake's mom gave these guns to Jennifer Drake prior to the murder. So I don't know why Jennifer brought just one gun down. You know, they had a bunch of guns over there at the Drake household. The police never went and ever searched that house, never tested any of those guns, never tested anything, except Jennifer Drake got a hair up her ass one day and went down to the Idaho State Police and said, here, I want you to test this gun against the bullet that you found in my husband. Kid you not. Now, next up, so Brittany Wiley was witness 8. Witness 9, Dave Winey. Dave Winey. What a last name. Man, if my last name was Winey. Dave Winey. Dave Winey is the Bonners Ferry Fire Chief. Dave Winey has no business being called to the stand, is absolutely irrelevant in this case. And I want to know how they think that they're going to get in Dave Winey and anything that he has to say. Because guess what, guys? Dave Winey wrote up no report in the murder of Brian Drake. None. If they think that they're going to use Dave Winey for some gas leak, Dave Winey didn't write up a report in the gas leak. Dave Winey has 0, 0, 0 to do with this case. No reports, and the interview was not recorded with Dave Winey. So, Dave Winey, you think you're going to remember every little thing back from how many years ago? I cannot believe that Dave Winey, I mean, Dave Winey. I think it's worth deposing Dave Winey to get it on record that he doesn't know anything and he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And he never thought in a million thousand years that anybody tried to commit suicide with no gas leak. Okay. And if they would have thought it was so suspicious back when it happened on March 15th, then why didn't they do something? Okay. Really good fucking work, detective work, right? Way to go, Dave Winey. If I was Dave Winey, I'd put a big old wiener in it and tell him I'm busy. Cheers. Merry Christmas. I called him this past summer, not knowing he ran out of town to request a fire inspection, and he gave me an earful. Dave Winey's been run out of town? Oh, hell, we need to call Dave Winey on the phone, man. Maybe Dave Winey's not going to play along with their shenanigans. Next up, this will be witness number 10. This is Jennifer Drake's witness list. Witness number 10 is Brian Scrimshire. Now, what they are expecting Brian Scrimshire to testify to, he is an Avista worker. Avista. Everything comes back to Avista, man. He was the natural gas specialist that came out and turned off the gas, turned it back on, and said, well, I guess I can leave. Like, there's nothing more to do here. He didn't write a report. There was no report needed. He did not note that there were tools used to loosen anything. In fact, Brian Scrimshire, I reached out to Brian Scrimshire for an interview. And I actually had a wonderful talk with people from Avista. They had no idea. They had no idea that they were on as expert witnesses in this case. I was the one that broke that news to them, and I said, you don't know that you're an expert witness in this case? They have you down as being an expert gas witness. It was news to legal over there. So, again, guys, you can't make this up. Next up, witness number 11, a personal favorite here. Come on down, Leslie Layman, baby girl. Leslie Layman, Idaho State Police, District 1. That name is all over in the Idaho 4 case. Name is all over here in the Drake Moore case. And let me tell you something. Leslie Layman may get fired after this trial. No joke. Straight up. Leslie Layman has a lot of problems on her hands. I would not want to be Leslie Layman. I would just be truthful and just admit that you are not good at your job and how you missed something. But Leslie Layman 100% will be demoted, if not fired after this hearing. Trial, guys. Leslie Layman literally is the person responsible for putting together the PowerPoint presentation and all the timestamps associated and going through and verifying people and where they were, going and getting all the camera footage, burying the camera footage. Leslie Layman, why didn't you go and get Super One cameras? Everybody in town knows that Super One cameras are the best in town, and you'd be a moron to steal from Super One because of how good their new system was. Okay? Everybody in town knew that. Well, everybody in this case went to Super One. Literally went to Super One. And it would show what time they got there, what time they left, things like that, what vehicle they're in. Leslie Layman was physically at Super One on 3/13/2020, right after interviewing Isaac Funderburg, who said he went to Super One, and is in a parking lot interviewing another broad in this case. And she doesn't go and get the Super One cameras. That was what she was assigned to do. Her, Rich Alderson. Also, Leslie's involved in not recording very important phone calls. Leslie is involved in identifying the vehicle that Elora Gatel was in and leaving the appointment that day. Okay? This is going to be a shit show. If there is a person that you want to watch on the witness stand and you want to see fireworks just explode, you don't want to miss if you're going to this trial. You want to be there when Leslie Layman takes a stand. I'm telling you, it's going to be so good. It's going to be sick. Okay? Leslie Layman was running around town in Sand Point, Idaho, telling people that she arrested and she's the one that solved the Brian Drake murder case. You can't make this up. No, girl. You are the reason. You are the reason that District 1, Idaho State Police, okay, is going to be the laughing stock of this trial. Yes, Leslie Layman was running around Sandpoint, Idaho, where she lives, with Mark Furman, talking about how great she did in this case and that she's the reason that they caught Brian Drake's killer. You cannot make this stuff up. I am so excited to ask these people when they're coming out of the courtroom, hey, so how'd it go in there? Did you get, why'd you do it, Leslie? Why'd you mess up your spreadsheet so bad? Was it on purpose or just not trained right? Ready? Number 12. Surprise here for me. Sergeant Alan Ashby. I said, who's Alan Ashby? Again, Idaho State Police, District 1. I was like, okay, what do I got with Alan? But come on, he was on like 3 things. What'd this man do? Well, Alan Ashby, he's needed to talk about the surveillance of none other than Dan Moore. Alan Ashby is with the Idaho State Police, and we can expect Alan Ashby, in my opinion, to testify to the camera pictures, the surveillance pictures that he took of this white truck, and how he's saying, he's going to say, yep, I was following, Dan Moore, and I'm taking pictures of his white truck, and this is what it looks like, stuff like that. Let me think if I can think of any last other things that I had Alan Ashby on. Was he involved in the, let's see. One of these people were involved in the lineup, giving the lineup to see if they could identify. Okay. Come back to that. So yeah, Alan Ashby going to be really, really limited. I mean, these are just people that could potentially be called. Number 13, lucky number 13. Ready? Marty Ryan, retired. Marty Ryan was with the Bonners Ferry Police Department. He was the assistant chief. Now, remember, Marty Ryan is the gentleman that was involved after the Idaho State Police left the room during this interrogation. Marty Ryan assumed the position and began, doing his techniques on Dr. Moore. That's who Marty Ryan is. Marty Ryan has reports in this case. What Marty Ryan and Detective McClellan were doing from the time of the murder until 9 a.m. on 3/13 is going to come out. So now, number 14. Those of you guys that follow all my stuff with Idaho 4, here's a name you're going to like. None other than Gary Tolson, Idaho State Police Detective. Gary Tolson, District 1, come on down. He is on the list. What Gary Tolson can be expected to testify is he was Van Leuven's sidekick, okay? Gary Tolson, I think, is the weakest link for the Drake side of the case. I believe that Detective Tolson is not going to lie. I believe that if you ask Detective Tolson the right questions, Detective Tolson can and will be, a huge asset to the Moore side. Because I don't believe that Detective Tolson, based on all the information, which is the discovery, I don't believe that Detective Tolson was down with this narrative. Okay. I believe that Detective Tolson has reservations. And where it's highlighted about these reservations is when the $1 million people call up Omaha for the life insurance. Detective Tolson says that nobody's been cleared. We just got this case. We were just gathering evidence. Gathering information. We can't clear anybody because life insurance has to talk to the detectives and they have to get a death certificate. They have to have the detectives clear the person saying that they're not involved in this. We don't have any, and in order to get your money, you guys, this is what's going to be great. You have to give the police a little bit of credit with this. I don't know what you're doing and you don't know what I'm doing. If we're all police officers here and I'm submitting my reports, I don't know what your reports say. I don't know what you're doing. I'm doing mine. And it wouldn't be known to anybody until they would physically sit down and look at all the discovery. And if once they did that, then they would have all this information. And the big thing that's going to go off in a lot of these people's heads that they should be told about in this trial is, were you aware that Jennifer Drake had called life insurance 13 times? 13 times. Excuse me? No, I had no idea. She called what do you mean called life insurance 13 times? Trying to get her money. Jennifer Drake called life insurance before Brian Drake's body was off the floor. His dead body. That's insanity. The same day that Gary Tolson says, nobody's been cleared, we just got this case, Jennifer Drake goes to none other than Detective Van Leuven, okay, Michael Van Leuven, the head detective, and says, hey, the life insurance people are going to be calling you. Wait, they just talked to Gary Tolson. They were just told what they were told. So why would life insurance then call Michael Van Leuven? And I'll tell you why. Because life insurance told Jennifer Drake, they can't clear anybody yet. They just got the case. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not the lead detective. You need to talk to the lead detective. That's what happened. And so that's the only thing that could happen. Because why would life insurance call now this other guy, meaning Detective Michael Van Leuven? And it's Michael Van Leuven that on the same day that Gary Tolson said, and nobody's clear, we just got this case. That same day, Michael Van Leuven gets a phone call and he says that Jennifer Drake has been so cooperative and we have no reason to suspect that she's done anything. You guys, this is great. Like, what? Okay. So I think if Gary Tolson was to see all these reports, I think that Gary Tolson would opine differently. I truly, truly do. Gary Tolson doesn't know when Jennifer Drake got her mail. How would he know that? Unless you investigate that. And he's over here thinking, I said that nobody was, not involved. Like everybody's on the table still. Okay. So guess what? Ready? Gary Tolson's going to find that out in trial. He's going to find that out in trial. And he's going to say, well, how'd you like it, the fact that Jennifer Drake went around Joe back? How about that? Okay, next up. Here's a name. Big name. Andrew Huddle. Andrew Huddle. Now, it's a name that's surfacing because Andy. We know him as Andy. Andy Huddle. Guess what? He was just in the WSU Idaho State Police you saw his name working with the Moscow Idaho 4 case that he called WSU and was like, I need that report from the burglary or attempted burglary or the masked man with the knife. Okay. So Andy Huddle. Now, You're going to say, wow, what did Andy Huddle do in this case, Lana? Well, Andy Huddle was in on a lot of the interviews. Okay. Andy Huddle was going around with a girl named Brittany Clark. So you have Leslie Layman and Rich Alderson. Those two were always going places together. And then you have Andy Huddle and Brittany Clark. Those two people going around and interviewing people. Okay. And then you have Van Leuven and Tolson. So those are your 6 people, and those are your, 2 in a pack. So, and when you actually break down this case, you see who the good ones are, and you see who the shitty ones are. And they're either shitty because they're just shitty at their job, okay? Or they're shitty because they're corrupt. Now, we know a name that's not on this list. Hold on one second. I'm going to leave the studio and come back. Is that leave studio, come back? Okay, she's back. I wanted to share something. This was acting a little whoa, crazy. Okay. There we go. So we're right here. Andy Huddle, I have him on the decent side right now. Okay. Caitlin Muniz. You guys, no idea who the fuck this is. Not a damn clue. No idea. She's with the Idaho State Police, but that's about all I know. Brittany Clark. Again, Brittany Clark was doing interviews with Andy. Now, Brittany Clark and Andy always seem to get the really, really the fun interviews. Okay. Brittany Clark was involved in interviewing one of my favorites in this case, which is Nancy Johnson. Okay. Nancy Johnson talking about how, pervy Drake was, how handsy, touchy feely. Okay. So Brittany Clark, if Brittany Clark and Andy would have interviewed Elora Gatel and Funderburg, if those two things would have happened, this case would have went a completely different direction. Leslie Layman and Rich Alderson are the definition of shit. Okay? I'm not using the word corrupt. They are shit. They need to lose their jobs. They are horrible. Absolutely horrible at their job. I believe that if Andrew Huddle and Brittany Clark would have been the ones that were interviewing those two people, this case would have went completely a different way, as it should have, because it was right in front of your faces. Like literally. Thank God for Brittany Clark being able to prove that Leslie Layman attempted to lie and say that there was no Liberty cameras. Thank God. There's a guy by the name of Kelly Jones and Brittany Clark saving the day with that. Next up. Okay. Special Agent Ed Jacobson of the Federal Bureau of Investigations is on this list. And I about fell over. I said, holy shit. What are they calling him to stand for? Because if the questions are asked appropriately, Like, damn. Okay. I know why they have him on the list. Jennifer Drake is expecting, if this man testifies, he was involved with Leslie Layman in serving the search warrants at Dr. Moore's house and being there when Dr. Moore's wife, Karen, was there. Okay. So you have Special Agent Ed Jacobson of the FBI with Leslie Layman at the house where the Moores live when they informed Karen Moore that her husband was just down at the station. We have a search warrant in connection with the Brian Drake murder. And she's like, what? She's like, they're like, yeah, we just arrested your husband, Dan. And she's like, laughs a little bit. She goes, you got to be shitting me. What do you, Dan Moore, my husband, who has never done an illegal drug in his life, no parking ticket, Dan Moore. She's like, you got to be shitting me. She's like, for what? For the murder of Brian Drake. Wait, what? Get this. If they play these interviews, you will see how bad Leslie Layman is at her job. And how Special Agent Ed Jacobson is again on the opposite side of just getting hosed. Because Ed Jacobson, he interviewed Stephen Hartman. Stephen Hartman in this case is crucial because he was the first suspect. But that's when it was found out that, wait a second, this isn't the guy that they saw running away from the building. This is the guy that came walking up 30 minutes after the shots. After the shots that didn't happen at 7:26. So Ed Jacobson was the one that was interviewing Stephen Hartman. He makes an amazing report. He video recorded this interview. But literally that report is what then caused, and that interview is what caused him to have Leslie Layman called up back in the beginning on March 13th. Hey, call this Isaac Funderburg kid up because this isn't and ask him if he ran into somebody after the gunshots. Because this kid is identifying Isaac Funderburg to a T and saying that I ran into this kid who was carrying stuff in with two Doberman dogs. I mean, he gives his car description. He gives his description of what he looks like. And so what does Leslie Layman do? Idiot Leslie Layman. Oh, that sounds great. I'll call him right now. She calls him up. Isaac Funderburg doesn't record the conversation because who would do that in a murder, right? This is a murder investigation. We're not going to record this. It's so important. Doesn't record the call, or did she? And then they had to bury it. Writes up a report because this is everything on the case, which is Isaac says, oh yeah, that guy, he came up afterwards. The girlfriend, Aaliyah, said, we talked to Stephen Hartman like he had nothing to do with this. He came after my fiance went to the store, like went to Super One. Okay, well, so the reason we know that he had nothing to do with it is because he came walking up when you guys were going all through those streets looking for people. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, she just outed the cops. I love it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's on camera. When Columbia Bank Cameras has Isaac Funderburg and Stephen Hartman basically meeting each other, and it's at 7:30 p.m. And that's when they were saying, yeah, that was like 30 minutes after the gunshots and after everything. That's why he doesn't have anything to do with this. So nobody would ever say somebody was shot at 7:26 and be able to ever say that, oh yeah, this guy coming up at 7:30, he has nothing to do with it. Like that would have been so close that you'd have been like, oh my God, yeah, then this guy comes up. And it was like right after. 30 minutes. Ed Jacobson, I don't think was ever privy to this information. But Leslie Layman did put in her report, oh yeah, Isaac said that guy came up like 10 or 15 minutes after the gunshots. Leslie. That still puts the gunshots before 7:17, doesn't it? So Brian Drake couldn't have been on that phone call, right? Because he would have already been shot. So who really called Jennifer Drake? You fucking dumb bitch. Fuck you, Leslie. Fuck you. Excuse me. I was just clearing my throat. You hear Ed Jacobson telling Karen Moore that her life is going to be fine. That she didn't do anything. No one's going to hate her. She can't. She's like, wait, my husband confessed? He would never confess. We don't even know Brian Drake. Why would he kill him? You guys, it's crazy if this gets to be seen, the jury can see this, which they can. But that's why when I saw this name on here that Special Agent Ed Jacobson is going to be taking the stand, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be fucking tits. Ed Jacobson was who I wanted on my list. Like, yes, Ed Jacobson. Next up. God. Now everybody could say, well, Lana, guess what? You can't just ask people questions if it's outside the scope. You're absolutely right. You can't. But what you can do is you can recall the witness as your own witness, and they are under the same subpoena. Understand? I will just recall them as my own witness. But for judicial economy, Your Honor, which you want us to get through this trial in 8 days, he's right here, right now. And opposing counsel, do you have an issue with me? Because you can lead on when you're crossing. And so if you want to say, well, no, I have a problem, you're going to have to call them yourselves. Okay, that's great. But this trial ain't ending in 8 days based off of this. If you want judicial economy, he's on the stand right now. I have some questions. Yes, they're outside the scope, but I just won't make them leading. Like, let's, what can we do here? Now, that goes for everybody that I've already said. Like, they'd be subject to a recall. I'm recalling that person, and they're under the subpoena. And so, which means is like you have to show up, or we're issuing a bench warrant for your ass. 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Jennifer Drake, Brenner Drake, and then the other three, and I think that they're minor children. I know at least one of them is. I can't remember if the three boys and then the girl. So Jennifer has herself down and then her kids. You know that that's coming because they have to talk about what they've lost, and so they're going to have to talk about that. So that's Jennifer, 19 to 23. You guys, this is not the order. I mean, it could be the order, but I'm just saying, like, this 30 that I'm throwing out here. I think it may be the order. Next up. So, again, these are Jennifer's witnesses. So, Jennifer is going to... how long do you guys think Jennifer Drake's going to be on the stand? What version are we going to get? What room was she in when she got the call that her husband was shot, Or rather, when she was on the phone with her husband, what room was she in? Was she on her bed? Was she sitting there with her daughter? What version are we going to get? I'm just curious. Can't wait. Why I say that is because I have absolute proof that she's given 3 different versions of where she was when her husband told her that he had been shot and that she had to call the police. Jen is not pleading the 5th. She is calling herself as a witness. She is the only witness to talk about all the loss, to talk about what this has done to her life, and obviously to explain how she was on the phone with her husband. And then he tells her, now the question is going to be is objection, Your Honor. This is hearsay, right? So there's a motion in limine hearing coming up on the 31st. And I know I would want to keep out, I'm sorry, but Jennifer Drake speaking about anything that Brian said is hearsay. Is hearsay. Well, it beats Jennifer Drake beats the rule because of, the utterance of whatever. I'm arguing the shit out of that though. No. No, because there's all this data and evidence that highly suggests that Brian Drake is not even alive at 7:17 and then through that conversation until 7:26. Okay? So I want proof of life during the 7:17, 7:26 phone call. And so I would be putting in a motion here that Jennifer Drake is not, and nobody is testifying fucking hearsay. Unless it is our point, like our narrative here. That was the Moors saying that we don't believe that Brian Drake was alive. And there's evidence that suggests that he's not. So here's the evidence. Okay. Or if you're the Moors, do you go the fact of no, let her bring that shit up and in? Okay. So that we can then go ham with the evidence to show how she's been lying since day one. Do you want the jury to hear her little song and dance? And I said, well, the 911 call has her song and dance. I think that the 911 call is hearsay. I think that there's no chain of custody on the 911 call. You can't get that even in. And that's why they had such a hard time at the preliminary hearing. There was no 911 call played at the preliminary hearing because there was no chain of custody. Like, who's going to testify to this 911 call? I can't wait for these. This is unfucking believable. But that's who you're going to be hearing from. Jennifer Drake, the 4 kids. Next up. Witness number 24. Eric C. West. Now it's interesting because Eric C. West, he's out of Spokane, and he has his company. It's called West Economics. And West Economics, he considers himself a testifying expert. And so what basically this man is going to be testifying to, but he's not listed as an expert. And he didn't make the list of the expert witnesses. But Eric C. West to testify to what a loss it's been and how much money we've lost out on the fact that we don't have Brian here and he was our sole provider. Well, I would like to know what money they're going off of that Brian Drake made, because the taxes on how Brian Drake reported his money was that Brian Drake, after his bills, he made $30,000 a year. I don't know how you can afford to feed a family of 6 people off of $30,000 after paying your bills. So I'm curious to see, but he wasn't listed during the disclosures because it was outside of the expert date. So curious. Now, witness 25. Very, very interesting name here. Dale Stockton. Now, Dale Stockton is with the Public Safety Insight. Public Safety Insight. Dale Stockton. I was really hoping for Dave McClellan or Rich Alderson. Rich Alderson doesn't make the cut. Rich Alderson is a pastor. Okay. He's a detective and a pastor. I want to know his relationship with certain people in the community. He's not listed though. Rich Alderson is not listed on Jennifer Drake's witness list. Dale Stockton with Public Safety Insight. The only time that Brian Drake made money is when he was having surgeries, when he was getting blasted, his back, his leg, and his family was then putting in these. They had Good Samaritan insurance, and people were giving them $400 or $500 in PayPal and checks and shit. It was crazy. Next up, after Dale Stockton, okay, number 26 is Bruce Frumpkin. That is Frumkin. Frumpkin. Frumpkin. Not like it's like pumpkin, but Frumpkin. Anyways, he has 40 years experience. He's not an expert though in this case, but I have a feeling they're going to try to finagle it in there, but no. He's a forensic and clinical psychologist, and he's out of Pennsylvania, and he is going to be the person, ready, that is going to try to combat and rebut. He's a rebuttal witness, in my opinion, to Dr. Leo. Okay? Dr. Leo is one of very, very decorated false confession experts. Okay? Bruce was retained, in my opinion, to combat what Dr. Leo in his report. The motion in limine that Jennifer Drake filed to take place December 31st has Dr. Leo all up in it. They are trying everything they can to get Dr. Leo to not be able to be in this trial. Next up, witness 27 for Jennifer Drake's witness list. Number 27, Daniel Lee Moore. Witness 28, Jane Doe, aka Dr. Moore's wife, Karen Moore. Witness number 29, you cannot make this shit up, man. I'm ready for it. Dad, I just fell over my chair. Witness number 29, Amber Van Ling. Amber Van Ling. Wait a second. Who? I finally get to see my girl Amber Van Ling. Okay, girl. Okay. Amber Van Ling. Oh my God. They've been putting the addresses of every single person on this list. When we get to Amber Van Ling, by God, she is just by herself. Get out of here. I about died. Amber Van Ling is very interesting. Amber Van Ling, what is up, Sherry D? Shake it. Shake it. Don't be running nowhere. Just walk it out, girl. You guys, Amber Van Ling, never interviewed by the police. Never interviewed by the police. Amber Van Ling is huge in the case, which would be the criminal case, because supposedly Jennifer Drake, oh my God, he's shot. Ready? She doesn't call back Brian 5 times. Okay, what the hell? She immediately calls the police, supposedly Jennifer Drake. But yet there's no number. It doesn't exist anywhere. Then she calls her parents. I think she calls her dad. I think she calls her mom, or, makes multiple calls. Then she's calling Stephen Minert. Okay. Which notice, he's not on her list. The person that was watching her kids, supposedly, Stephen Minert. But then she calls Amber Van Ling. Amber does not answer. She then texts Amber Van Ling. Then at 8:07, Amber Van Ling calls Jennifer Drake back. Okay. 8:07, this is so important. 8:07, calls her back. Now, Spencer Van Ling is married to Amber Van Ling. Spencer, for some reason, was interviewed by the police. But Amber, she didn't get all up in that. Spencer says, oh yeah, Jennifer called Amber and was freaking out, Brian getting shot. And that was around 7:30. 7:30. No, it wasn't. Amber and Jennifer never talked unless it would have been on an app. But phone to phone, no. 8:07. Why is this huge? Because why does the detectives even catch it? They're like, wait, you were putting your girls to bed when you found this out? You're putting your girls to bed at 7:30? I think that's early, And he's like, oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was later. Then he's like, okay, then what happened? Well, then my wife says that she's going to drive over to Jennifer's. Okay, ready for this? Okay. And so she gets in her, like, at 8:07, talks to her, then would have to go out to her vehicle, get in her vehicle, and then drive to Jennifer's, right? So you're telling me that means that Jennifer, ready? Jenny poo poo doo doo would be where? Takes 10 minutes to get there. So let's say the bitch literally just ran out the door. I'll even say that you got in your car at 8:10. Okay? That puts you at 8:20, right? At the house. That means Jennifer Drake would be at her house this whole time from 7:17, the phone call, the shooting, 7:26, and then is still there. Now, Amber Van Ling shows up at 8:20. You know, that's me saying that she got that phone call at 8:07. They talk on the phone. I'm gonna go to her house. Okay. Well, what if somebody said, I went and picked up Amber? Like, what's the true story here? Okay. Because Amber's husband believes that Amber then left and went to Jen's house to go pick her up. Now think about this. Maybe the reason that he thinks that she left at like 7:30 is because she truly did leave at 7:30. All right, just hear me out. Maybe the 8:07 call, you know, could be for another reason because they had already talked before that. But listen to this. That's the only call that there is, which would mean that they would have had to talk via a different app, or maybe they were just together when this fucking whole thing went down. Who knows? But I will tell you this. At 8:20 p.m., Jennifer Drake would have to be at her house so that Amber can pick her up, right? And then they decide because they're going to head north to go to Bonner's Ferry. And then on their way up there is when Jennifer starts making all these calls to like hospitals and, you know, then she talks to Marty Ryan at 9:06 or 8:59 or something like that, right around there. And that's when Marty Ryan decides to tell somebody who had been driving a vehicle. They never do this. Please don't do this. Tell somebody while they're driving that their husband was shot and killed. And hey, don't bother coming here. Turn around and go home. Who would ever have done that? Nobody. Their timeline is so screwed. It's nuts. Because we got to go back to this. Well, what was going on between like Jen and her kids? Did any of her kids have phones then? Yeah, they did. What was the phone activity like from 7:26 until 8:20? Right? Would you ever call your son or in texting with your son if you were both at the same house at the same time? I don't think so. Right? So if Brenner is at the house, right? Why would Jennifer Drake be texting and calling with Brenner if she too was at the house? You wouldn't. The answer is you wouldn't. Right? Right. They are in a world. But let me none of this information matters, though, if the person that you have as your attorney is a complete fucking dipshit. If your attorney's not going to know, if they don't know the case, they have no idea what questions to ask, right? You have to know this case in order to ask the questions. Why do you think Peter Erblin had no problem he wants Dana and Matt on this case. So he said, hey, I have to object to you guys withdrawing. Okay. He didn't have an objection when Jill withdrew because he didn't want to go up against Jill because Jill would have owned his ass, literally upended his ass. Jill would have ran circles around that shit show. But Peter Erblin wants to go up against Dana and Matt because they are not good at their job and he knows it. He also knew that they just blew off the last deposition with Dan Moore's alibi witness. But Peter Erblin finessed it so and sounded like, I have so much respect for these, attorneys are really good at their job. And, I hate to do this, but, I have to object to the withdrawal because, and just la da da. He didn't object to Jill Bolton piecing out. Okay. It's in however he sold it to Jen Drake because Jennifer, what do you mean? Like this thing, that case had already been pushed back so many different times. And then Jill Bolton puts in a withdrawal. Why didn't you object to that? There was a trial like lurking right behind it, and this could have went to trial. Peter Erblin had no objection to it because of what? Jen, listen here, Jen. We want Jill Bolton to be not representing them. Period. You want to go up against somebody that's lazy, that does not take the time to know the case, that doesn't know even the law. Okay, this is civil. This is not a criminal case. This is civil. And there's different rules here. Okay. Dana Bowles is a public defender, criminal public defender. She has no experience in civil litigating. None. Zero. The so-called brains of this operation with Dana and Matt is Matt's this great trial civil litigator. Neither one of these two people know the case at all. You guys as viewers know this case more than those two lawyers know. They put a dead man on a witness list. Now, Amber Van Ling is going to be super, super interesting. 30 is Garth Wimmy. Garth Wimmy, another, that to me was I cannot believe he's on this list. This is great for the Moores. Okay. Ready for this? You know who is not on this list? The big bombshell reveal here that's not on Jennifer Drake's list. Elora Gatel. How is your star eyewitness not on the list? Because there's trouble in paradise, baby. That's why. Elora Gatel just got confirmation. Elora Gatel is on the witness list, though, for the Moores, and she is still in the United States of America because she was found. I said, Elora Gatel, you better run for the hills. She didn't listen to homie Lana. She kept her ass right here in the States, found herself a subpoena. Listen, why Jennifer Drake would not put Elora Gatel on the list for her witnesses, because she's the only one that can testify to seeing this white truck when she was pulling out, and this white truck that was there when she was having her little back cracked from 6:42 until 7:17, like it says in Jennifer Drake's complaint. There was this white truck that was there from 6:42 until 7:17. That's a very specific time. Wait, that's right when Jennifer called her man at 6:42 in 13 seconds. He said, hey, I'm still with patients. And she says, okay, call me back. Then at 7:17, that's when Elora left. But the white truck That white truck doesn't come until 7:18 and 50 seconds. Suck a dick. That is going to blow the gasket off the roof. I mean, it is literally, I want cameras in this courtroom. You need to see these people's faces when these detectives are going to be sitting up there who created these spreadsheets and they show this. Oh, wait, the white truck comes when? That Eldora said that she couldn't go, had to go the other way? There's no white truck there, though. But how does she know about this white truck? How does she? Because she's still there. She didn't leave in the pilot. They have 2 vehicles. What? Huh? Yeah, Paul Jacobson. Come on down, baby. He told y'all about the SUV. Elora Gatel, not on Jennifer Drake's witness list. There is trouble in paradise. Jennifer Drake and Elora Gatel were the ones that were using that phone from 7:17 until 7:26. Elora Gatel knows who killed Brian Drake. Elora Gatel is in the United States of America, still right here, right now. But more importantly, Elora Gatel refuses to be interviewed. Why? Elora Gatel reached out to the Popo and asked if she had to be interviewed. If she was, I don't want to be interviewed. So you're going to sit here and tell me that Elora Gatel is planning on taking the 5th in this freaking trial? I can't believe it. I just found this channel. So amazing. I'm just a new subscriber today. Welcome. You guys, shit is going to be popping off. Now, Elora Gatel, wait, let me get this straight. Elora Gatel refuses to be interviewed? What is she? Why? Who cares? Elora Gatel? Well, then let's just interview her brother, Caleb. He's dead. Oh my God. Well, let's just interview Sonia, the niece. Bring her ass down here. You guys, this is wild, right? Elora Gatel lied to the police. She lied about what time she left. She lied, about what vehicle she left in. And the police knew all of this. Leslie Layman, this is Leslie. Leslie Layman picks up the phone in June, calls Elora Gatel. Hey, we're just really nailing things down over here. What vehicle did you go in? And okay. And literally just starts typing up this this spreadsheet. It's impossible to watch the camera and not see that the pilot leaves before the white truck arrives. And then you would ask yourself, well, God, how did Elora know about this white truck that wasn't even there yet? It sounds like Eldora's in the white truck or knows who's in the white truck. Or maybe it's both. Maybe, God, how would she know about the white truck's movements? The pilot's long gone for like a minute and 30 seconds. Here's Leslie Layman. It's probably just a glitch in the system. No, your critical thinking skills suck, Leslie. You are horrible at your job. And every case that Leslie Layman has worked needs to come back and be appealed. Okay? If this broad had anything to do with your shit. Leslie Layman, horse shit, like flunky. Leslie Layman, you flunked. So, I would love to just be the person to ask Leslie Layman the question. Leslie, are you familiar with chronological order? Okay. So when you were making up your spreadsheet here, you were just watching the video and you'd press pause and then you'd write down what happened, right? And you'd timestamp it, right? And then you press play and another vehicle came, you pause it, and then you'd continue on, right? Yep, that's exactly what I did. Okay, perfect. Well, you didn't realize that when you went to mark the white truck on your chronological list here, that the white truck arriving at the so-called drive-through and parking, just like Eldora told you it did, and it left its running lights on, you didn't notice how that came after the fact that Eldora's pilot was gone from the fucking scene? You're writing it one after the other. Like, it would be the next movement. I guess I missed that. How? You omitted it. You didn't miss it. You omitted the fact that the pilot had already left. Because you have the white truck's movements, but you just don't have the pilot leaving. You just didn't put that on your spreadsheet, right? Because it's not important to you, right? It's not relevant. You don't think that it's not, you think that it's not relevant to say how your eyewitness was gone and could have never seen a white truck if she left in that pilot. Basically, what your work has showed me is that Elora Gatel in her happy motherfucking mouth kept on running it like a moron. And she spoke. She knew all about this stuff, right? Not realizing that there would ever be a camera to do what? Or she thought she'd be so heavily protected, and that's the key word, because Dave McClellan, yo ass, is about to get lit up. Dave McClellan's not on the list. Why isn't Dave McClellan on the list? I mean, this is embarrassing. The same Leslie Layman, who in the Idaho 4 case, send me all your videos. Send me all your videos. That's who everybody was sending their videos to. Leslie Layman with the Idaho State Police. Send me all your videos because I'll figure it all out. I'll just make some timelines up. Now, we go to the Moore's list. Nothing is better than Lana's sarcasm. Yeah, I love it. Leslie, don't you think it's pretty important when you actually call, like we have proof that you called back and Eldora's telling you again that she left in the pilot? In June. Yeah, and she's taking pictures of her pilot and she emails them to you and then you put them in Discovery, right? Here, this is Eldora's pilot. Here it is. Not knowing, like, did you never think that, like, they never thought in a million thousand years that Dan Moore would ever confess to something that he didn't do, therefore creating a case. Was this supposed to be unsolved? And then we could never get the guy. You know, we had all this evidence against him. We just could never get him. And then here, he just false confesses, right? And then it's, oh my God, we totally weren't expecting that, right? Because they don't have any probable cause because there is no evidence against the man. And then all of this got to be seen because of that. But then let's go to the Moore's list. I about fell over in my chair. I feel so bad for those people. There's a dead man on their list. There's a dead man on their list. Ah, shit. There is a dead man on their list. You guys, it is so funny to me because you can't make this up. Not only is he a dead man, okay? He is the subject to literally 3 weeks prior to this list getting put out there. 3 weeks prior to that. He's the subject of Jennifer Drake's admissions that she sent to the Moores to fill out. Talking about Clark Halverson's funeral. This dude's funeral from 2020. I about fell out of my chair. I'm like, this cannot be accurate. I'm like, maybe Clark has a son. Then I was like, he does, and he fucking drowned too. He's dead too. Clark's son is body was never recovered. Poor Clark Halverson's son was found in a horrible, an alleged horrible accident. For all I know, he could have been taken out. You guys. Oh my God. So I have this list. I'm like, who are these fucking people? Dude, so Clark Halverson. The only good part of there's one name that's worth a damn on that list that I'm about to read off. One person, okay? Elora Gatel. Thank God Eldora's name's on that list. The good news is that the Moores have plenty of time to amend their list. Thank God. Their list isn't due until 14 days before trial, okay? I believe that Dana and Matt had to submit something to make it seem like that they're doing their job during this whole, right before they put this in like a day before the withdrawal motion. You guys, the list doesn't even have addresses with these names. There are names spelled wrong, a dead man, no addresses. And I'm just like, did somebody drinking some eggnog? Like, the Moores were screwed. They should have gotten another attorney and filed a motion to stay. Well, you never know. Are you covering this trial? Hell yeah, I'm covering this trial. I'm giving you guys all the juice. Heather Mosher. Well, we will see. There's something in the works. This is the Drake versus Moore case. I found this case because of the Idaho 4 case, because it involves the same detectives. This trial. This trial is literally in less than 30 days. You need to be here. You're going to get all the juice, everything that you could want. Plus, I'll be live outside the courtroom the entire time. Inside, outside, all the way around. You guys, hold on, let me grab something. I gotta do a shot for Eldora. This list. I do some research, right? Yeah, this trial starts January 27th. I think that's the day. Let me do a shot for Eldora, Steve? I'm gonna do a shot for Eldora. Eldora. What? Oh. Can we go grab some so we can do a shot with Eldora? Batche loose. Batche loose.
I see one batch.
Tarbiette.
I see a batch.
All right.
There.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're talking Farsi over here. Look out. When we got to talk about people, we do it in Farsi. Okay. So we're doing a shot for Eldora. She made the list. Thank God. Eldora, I'm going to buy a bunch of these Roscato bottles and I'm going to bring them down to Idaho for you. Okay. I really want you to be the MVP that I know that you can be. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So Eldora, I'm going to bring that for you. It's straight from Olive Garden right here. Straight from Olive Garden. All right. Now let me get my list here. About fell out of my chair. Let me see my list. Oh, here it is. Oh, God. Who are these people? Who are these people? Is this it? I got so many papers over here. Oh, let's see. So there's that one. Where's this other one? I might have to print a new one.
Same old, same old.
Yeah, same old, same old. Okay. Ready? You guys. Here you go. Admit that the document attached here to as Exhibit A is a true and correct copy of an online obituary and guest book of Clark Matthew Halverson from the Bonners Ferry funeral website. The fuck out of here. This was sent like end of November, beginning of December. Like, admit that the comment in Clark's guest book dated January 29th. I just can't. Admit that the Daniel Moore attended the memorial service of Clark Matthew Halverson at the Bonners Ferry Funeral Home on June 27th, 2020. Admit that Karen Moore attended the memorial service. You guys, these were questions asked, or these were these interrogatories and defendant's response to plaintiff's first set of requests for admissions. This is part of the discovery process, okay? You can do discovery up until 30 days before trial. All right. At the last possible minute, Jennifer Drake's side wants the Moores to admit to Clark Halverson's death and that they attended the funeral. And you're like, Lana, okay, great. Who cares? That's what I said. Like, who cares? Like, what the fuck? Like, what does this have anything to do with anything? Well, it becomes a thing, okay? It becomes a thing when Dan's attorneys, if they read this, they know that if they've been listening to their clients talk at all, they've been attending depositions, if they've been reading material, you would know that Clark Halverson has been dead since 2020. And the icing on the cake is that Jennifer Drake just asked questions about this right before Moore's attorneys submit a witness list with Clark Halverson's name on it, that he's going to be a witness. He's dead. If that doesn't show you how incompetent this defense team is, I don't know what would. Literally, who made the list? Who made this witness list? Who comprised it? Who made it? Meaning, like, who typed this up to give to turn in to say, here's our witness list. These are the 15 people that we could potentially call. Because whoever did it has no idea that Clark Halverson's dead. And when it's signed by your attorneys, that's who did it. That's who filled it out. And I was just wondering who was going to step up to the plate and be like, yeah, I was the one that typed that shit up. Because, I mean, it was signed that it was, I think, coming from, I mean, it's either Dana or it's Matt. I mean, but like, wow, can't get my, I mean, if that's not a reason that a judge should let you out of having these attorneys and that can we go to trial in a couple months? I don't know what would be. So now we get to this list. Ready? Remember this. Dan Moore and Karen Moore, they countersued. So like when Jennifer Drake filed this complaint against them, Jill Bolton answered it, and then she sued Jennifer Drake back. So whenever you do that, and you're going to sue somebody back, you better be prepared to testify in a civil case. Okay? Ready? Because you're your witnesses to talk about the damages, right? To tell your story to the jury that's going to either award you money or award them money, right? But so, and why I'm getting up to this climax of just fuckerage. When I saw this list, I saw a dead man. I said, holy fucking shit, who did this? Then I see that Karen and Dan Moore are not even on their own witness list. I fell out of my chair again. I said, oh my God, how are they not on their witness list? A witness list this is who you could potentially call. That does not mean that you have to call this person. Okay? That means that this is who you are planning potentially to call. You could have 80 people listed. Let me tell you something. If you don't have people on your witness list, you're not going to be calling them. Okay? You disclose this. It's part of, you want to say, the game. It's part of the rules. But there is no rule that says every person that I put down on my witness list, I have to call them. But there is a rule that says if they ain't on that list, you're going to have to give me a really good reason for me to allow that witness, outside of the deadline date. Hence, if you want to try to do it at the trial. So I looked at this list and I said, oh my God, a dead man. Where's, we saw Jennifer Drake's list. Jennifer Drake's on there. So are her children, because guess what? They are listed in the complaint. Okay. Well, Dan and Karen Moore have suffered due to the lies of Jennifer Drake. If Jennifer Drake would have never lied to the police and said that her husband was shot through the window at 7:26 p.m., we wouldn't be here. Right? He was never shot through any window. Okay. He was not shot at 7:26. Those lies 100% have caused damages to, in her version of these events. Jennifer Drake lying to the police and acting like her marriage was just like, woo, it's so great and we've never had any problems. That was a lie. That was a lie that she told to the police. Saying that Brian doesn't have passwords on his phone and that she can just get into his phone whenever she wants, and that's a lie. Saying that they are Christians and nobody does drugs and there's no infidelity, and okay, well, that's not true. The lifestyle that Brian Drake was living and the lifestyle that they were in, if you would have been honest about it, it would have led to the roads to properly investigate this case. Instead, the police, for whatever reason, were fine and content with taking that person's narrative, the wife's narrative, who in a murder of the spouse should always be suspect number one. Okay. So let's see. Here we go. Witness number one. I gotta remember, I about fell out of my chair. Witness number one, no surprise here, Dr. Richard Leo. He is going to be testifying for the false confession, coercion type stuff. Witness number two. I broke down Dr. Leo's stuff, I think, in a different episode. So witness number two is Josiah Roloff, President Roloff Digital Forensics, LLC. He is a cell phone expert. Digital forensics. Okay. He's somebody that would take an extraction of the phone that was done, take the data. He would do an extraction of someone's phone, then take the data and like be able to do a timeline, things like that. Okay. Number 3. Well, this is really weird. Okay. Witness number 3 doesn't have a number by them. It just has a name. And so it says, so witness 1. I want you guys to be able to see this as clear as possible. So this was filed by Matthew F. Dugan. Okay. Do you see how this person goes 1, 2, Josiah Roloff, and it goes, see how there's no number next to Romney? Okay. So for whatever reason, they just didn't assign Lenore Romney a number. Well, Lenore Romney, just because I'm not a moron, Lenore Romney is an economic, she's like a forensic accountant. Okay, forensic accountant. Because unlike the Drakes, the Moores actually ran a very successful business and ran it on the up and up. There was no handwritten notes and no, there was just no bullshit. What was coming in and what was going out was very well documented. Dr. Moore's practice worked with insurance. Drake's did not. Drake took, he was heavily cash until 2018. He started finally taking cards, which was with like, it's called Pay Anywhere Now. It's like the Square app where you like just can run it through like a card reader to your phone. Next up was, again, now this person got the number 3, which it would really be 4. Okay. And that would be, see how like there's no number there. Then 4, look at no addresses, no nothing, just done like a little kid. Like what type of work is this? Like me as a pro se, this is not what mine would even look like. Troy Guyman, he's a doctor. Okay. I believe what you can expect him to testify to is of giving Dr. Moore on the day that he had that false confession. He had just left Dr. Guyman's office and just had taken the pills that they knew that he had. And even after knowing that Dr. Moore had just taken a bunch of pills at Dr. Guyman's office, went and did the questioning and did all the stuff that they did to him that day. Number 5 is Chuck Schoonover. I about fell out of my chair. Chuck Schoonover. Chuck Schoonover, according to Chuck Schoonover, Chuck Schoonover is an ex-police officer who is an investigator now. Jill hired him in the beginning to do a couple things. I think Jill realized that he is horrible at his job. He's wrong, and never used them again. Okay. Why do you say that, Lana? Well, because Chuck was around in the beginning and then gone. Then all of a sudden, Dana and Matt go and get Chuck Schoonover. I have no idea what he could possibly testify. He thinks that Elora Gatel had an appointment from 7:03 to 7:15. I don't even know what's going on in this world right now. You guys, what time did Elora Gatel arrive at Brian Drake's office that day? I bet you all know. Right in chat. Right in chat, love. The Schoonster. You guys, I'm like, what is he? What? I don't know what he's gonna, you know. So then we get to this name, number 6, Jeff Krieger. Jeff Krieger. I said, who the fuck is Jeff? Elora Gatel arrived at 6:03, according to Elora Gatel's interview, as well as cameras. 6:03. Okay. You guys, Jeff Krieger. Jeff Krieger, ready for this? Has absolutely nothing to do with this case. He has a little short interview. He Jeff Krieger is in jail right now, I think. Jeff Krieger is involved with the drugs in Bonner's Ferry. Jeff Krieger was young. He's younger. And Jeff Krieger was interviewed one time by law enforcement, like on March 13th at the detention facility. And he was like, hey, somebody said your name. It's like, wait, what? What do you mean someone said my name? What are you talking about? Where were you last night? Well, and then so Jeff Krieger, you guys, I'll play you the interview. Jeff Krieger's like, I was doing shrooms. We were doing shrooms and we were driving to Coeur d'Alene and and I was trying to get my scooter. Someone stole my scooter. Can't make this up. I'm like, Jeff Krieger, why the fuck is he on the witness list? I feel so, yeah. He's in an interview talking about him doing that. They went to try to go by. He was trying to go up and see his little brother, but then his little brother wasn't even home, and they were trying to meet him up in Spokane. And I'm just like, what, Jeff Krieger? What the fuck is he gonna be asked on the stand? Did they think that you did this? Yes, they did. No more further questions. Like, unless they're just gonna be like, hey, Jeff Krieger, you were a person of interest in this case, weren't you? They want to know. Da, 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 da. Yeah. You know, like, yeah, and they interviewed me one time and never interviewed me again. Well, you know why? Because they had the cell towers and the phone. He's making these calls and he's texting people, and he isn't in Bonner's Ferry during the time of the murder. Like, so again, Jeff Krieger is on about fell over. Jeff Krieger offers 0 to this case. Nothing. Like, if you're going to ask him, did you sell drugs in the area? Yep. Did you ever sell to Brian Drake? Yep. You know, if that's the line of question that's coming to say that you've been selling drugs to Brian Drake, the only thing that would be relevant is if you interviewed Jeff Krieger at some point and he said that he was supplying Brian Drake with drugs. Okay. Next person. Hall. Literally Hall. Hall Simmons. Simmons. I said, who the fuck is Hall Simmons? Who the fuck is Hall Simmons? You guys, who the fuck is Hall Simmons? No idea. No idea. Hall Simmons has never been interviewed in this case whatsoever. So unless Hall Simmons is a confidential informant that's just going to come through the doors, come to the floorboards and say, yep, hey, what's up? I was interviewed. Police didn't want to know anything that I had to say, but I have a lot to say now. I have no idea. Maybe for all I know, I have no idea. I don't even believe that his name is Hall, Hall, Hall. Is it maybe Hal, like Hal, but Hall, like the hallway? Next up on the witness list, number 8, Mike Butler. Well, I said, Mike Butler. I said, oh my God, that's Michael Butler. That's Stephanie Butler's husband. He brings some relevance to the table. He brings some relevance to the table. I'll keep it to myself what relevance it is. I would have him on my witness list. Next up, just so you guys know, Mike Butler, aka I think that he was called Mick Butler. That was the husband or the ex-husband of Stephanie Butler, who Brian Drake was allegedly banging. Okay. Next up, number 9, Isaac Funderburg. Isaac Funderburg's on the list. He's worth a damn. You'd have him on your list. Number 10, I about fell over. I said, what the hell? That's not even how you spell her name. Aaliyah Sandelin. That is not how you spell it. Okay? And then we get to the famous number 11, Clark Halverson. And I said, what the fudge is going on? I said, Clark Halverson. I said, Clark Halverson is dead. He's dead. God bless it. He's dead. Oh my God, he's dead. Sorry, guys. I just needed a minute. Clark Halverson is dead. All right. After I said, oh dear Jesus, pray for us. Next up, I said, oh God, I don't even want to know who's next. Brenda Brooks. Brenda Brooks. Who the fuck is Brenda Brooks? Who is Brenda Brooks? I got to start digging. I'm like, well, Brenda Brooks is not in the criminal discovery. Brenda Brooks is married to a Wade Brooks, who, by God, happens to be witness number 13, Wade Brooks. I'm like, okay, I was able to find out that they live in Bonners Ferry. And I said, and like, then I was like, what's the next name? Brianna Dunham. Brianna Dunham. I said, who the fuck is this? Who is Brianna Dunham? Well, I put in the name, went off hunting, and I said, oh my God, Brianna Dunham, she is the daughter of Brenda Brooks and Wade Brooks, but yet she doesn't have the same last name. I said, and by God, she was born deaf and then there's a write-up about her in this article, said that Brianne had some, I don't know, surgery, or maybe she got some implants. I don't know. I was reading this last night and I said, oh my God. So we have Brenda and Wade Brooks, the parents of Brianne Dunham, and Brianne was born without hearing in the one ear or both ears. I can't remember the article. You guys can just Google it. I can just probably show you. But Breanne Dunham, and I said, well, that's just great. Let's just ask her if she heard gunshots tonight. That was just a joke. I don't even know what to say. After further digging, I believe that Brenda, Wade, and I said, I don't know, maybe these people were having sex with Drake. I said, you know what? Number 15, closing it out with none other than Elora Gatel. And I said, praise Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. There is a God. Eldorsky! Eldora makes the list, baby. By the skin of our teeth, Eldora sneaks in the back door, assumes the position. Number 15. Unfortunately, not mentioned on this list are the Moors anywhere. I don't even know what to say, guys. I don't even know. Nowhere on this list is anybody in law enforcement. Hold on a second. Wait, what? Lana, you gotta be kidding me. I don't believe so. I don't believe I'm kidding anybody here. Dr. Richard Leo, Josiah Roloff, Lenore Romney, Troy Guyman, Mick Millett. I think I missed that one for you guys. Mick Millett, he's the alibi witness. He's the coroner. Chuck Schoonover, Jeff Krieger, Hal Simmons, Mike Butler, Isaac Funderburg, Aaliyah Sandlin, Clark Halverson, Brenda Brooks, Wade Brooks, Breanne Dunham, and Elora Gatel. I said, oh, hell no. I said, this is atrocious. This is absolute craziness. You guys, where's Van Leuven? Where's Leslie Layman? Where's anybody worth a damn? Now, and then look at the way that this was done. Comes now by and through their attorney, Matt F. Dugan of Dugan Law Offices, hereby identifies those individuals the defendant may call to testify during the jury trial. May call to testify. Okay? Wait, excuse me? Wait, hold on a second. Now, how it should look is something like this. You know, plaintiffs by and through their attorneys of record, okay, hereby disclose the attached list of witnesses which plaintiff may call to trial in this manner. Then, correctly identifying who the person is, what dispatcher, former, then, you're listing all this stuff. But at the end, like a good attorney would, plaintiff reserves the right to call any witnesses designated by defendants and further reserves the right to make substitutions, additions, or withdrawals with respect to this list of potential witnesses after defendants have fully disclosed their witness list as previously requested in discovery. I said to myself, what do you mean? They've already disclosed it. Peter Erblund's like, there's no way that's their list. So unless you want to sit here and say that Matt Dugan, here's his, hey, just put, submit this. And because the witness list that came first was the Moores, and then this was submitted 7 days later. But these names sound like a totally different case, says Carson Zaki's mom, right? And it's just like, you also want to put down that getting old brained over here. This is horrible. This is absolute horrible. I can just pray and hope that, that this is just their strategy. It's insanity, you guys. It's insane. You guys, do you think that these people know that they're on the witness list? Do you want to hear what Jeff Krieger's interview with police sounds like? I mean, he is straight Tardville. He is not, like, you're not calling him for any reason other than to say that you supply drugs in that area. And what? Unless you're going to get that man to say that he was supplying Brian Drake with drugs. How about Gary Dean DeMata, who was Brian Drake's steroid supplier? How about Nancy Johnson, who Brian and her were having huggy time, feely, like, grabby ass. Oh, can you rub my balls type shit. How about Lacey Savage, who Brian Drake was saying he wanted to take her pigtails and use them like handlebars? Okay? I mean, are you gotta be shitting me? This witness list is absolute dog shit. How about Jennifer Smith? You guys know who Jennifer Smith is? Jennifer Smith was his patient who Brian was banging, according to Jennifer Smith. They had a settlement agreement that awarded her money that they had to pay because Brian was having inappropriate relations and committing HIPAA violations. Okay, like, you would look at your own complaint and you would see all of the things that you were accusing Jennifer Drake of and supply the witnesses that can back up your statements in the courtroom, right? No, who does that? What are you talking about? This is to Elora Gatel, baby. There's emails out there. So many people know that Jennifer Drake and Brian Drake split up at least 2 times, like separations, because he is enslaved. He's enslaved to pornography. He was cheating. I'm speechless here. Okay. How about Stephen Minert? How is Stephen Minert not getting a damn hall pass to come to this trial? How does Stephen Minert get out of that? I want to know that. Stephen Minert is supposedly running Lostology with the one son, okay? But he's supposed to be, then he's at the house with all the kids. I mean, it's absolute wild. How Brenner Drake wouldn't be on your list if you're the Moors. This list is absolute craziness. This list, these people, I'd be willing to bet that they don't even know that they're on a list. We should just call them up right now. Hey, Jeffrey Krieger, I was curious. Do you know that you're on this witness list to be called as a witness in the Moore Drake trial? What? It's going to be like, oh, shit, I got to go smoke some more. I got to go do some more shrooms. Anyways, any questions? Anybody want any questions? I can call some of these people and ask them, hey, are you aware that you're on the witness list for the Moore Drake case? Just curious. How is Jennifer Drake not on your witness list? Yeah! How is the dispatchers of Cooney County not on your witness list that do not have a call registered from Jennifer Drake? How is Bonner County Dispatch not on the witness list? How is the sheriff? Are you out of your fucking minds right now? Can I, you know what? There is no gag order on it. Maybe I just need to call up Dana or Matt and say, do you guys have any comment about this witness list that you supplied with a dead person on it? Maybe that's the call to make. Maybe embarrassing people is how the only way you can get shit done in Idaho. Because this is embarrassing. How is Jennifer Drake not on your witness list? If I was Peter Erblin, I would think twice about calling Jennifer Drake then, because they don't have her down as a witness list. I wouldn't call Jennifer. You don't want Jennifer to get crossed up. Let's just go through the kids. Who pays $200,000 for this shit? Not I. I don't even know what to say, guys. I'm starting to believe that it is elder abuse. You know, I was talking to some people about that, and I'm like, you know, would this qualify as elder abuse? You know, Karen and Dan Moore are definitely seniors. They fit that criteria. And then, I mean, it's a slap in your face. Whose face? Not my face. This is actually proving my point about corruption. Does it? I mean, because it looks like you're tanking the case. I mean, no, you can't be this dumb. Okay, you can't rock a JD and be this fucking stupid. Okay, you just can't. Because there comes a point where you have to say that this is an incompetence. Okay, this looks like it's done on purpose. I mean, I think that Matt should have to answer why there's a dead person on the witness list. I mean, do the Moores even know about this list? I think this is elder abuse. I think that they should tell the judge how incompetent they are and that they are in way over their heads. They have no idea what they are doing. They do not know the case. And to save being possibly disbarred, we think it's in our best interest that you allow a substitute counsel. I mean, how does this not get, how would this not meet the criteria to be ineffective assistance of counsel? There is such a thing, guys, in civil cases. So let's not forget that. You know what I also saw in this? I said, nobody wants to take on the police. How is Marty Ryan not on the list? Who straight up, like, verbal. How is Detective Van Leuven and Gary Tolson and Omaha representative not on your list? How would you not want to show that Jennifer Drake made all these phone calls before her husband's body was off the ground to collect her mill? I'm literally ill. Cheers, Eldora. But Eldora gets in there. You know why? Because they believe that Eldora is irrelevant. They put a list together of everybody that's God blessed irrelevant, okay, except for the paid retained experts that they have no choice but to put on that list. Because they were paid retained experts that Jill Bolton already disclosed before she left. That's why they're on that list. Those first 5 people, those are all retained experts that Jill Bolton got prior to her leaving, and she already disclosed that. So unbelievable. How are you not going to ask? How are you not going to show? I mean, who's going to testify to the fucker? No, we're just going to do it all on cross-examination. No, and no. Because if it's outside the scope, you're going to get nailed with that. You can't rely on that. And they had no idea what the witnesses list was going to be for Jennifer Drake because they submitted theirs first. So, like, and you didn't even use that language. This is just disgusting work, okay? And Peter Erblin wants to play the JV team at trial, and I don't blame him, okay? But Peter Erblin, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to also be asked questions like, because it's part of your ethical duty as well as the opposing counsel, believe it or not, that if you're seeing stuff that is inept, okay, you can't knowingly not disclose that. Okay? So Peter Erblin knows that Dana nor Matt attended a deposition that was very crucial for the Moores in Mick Millett's deposition, who's his alibi witness. How you don't attend that, that's inept. Okay? How you put down a dead man. Okay? How you don't even put your own clients down as potential witnesses because they're the only ones that can claim that they've been damaged, right? Besides, yes, you can use it through, like the teeter-totter works both ways. So when you would recall Dan or Karen Moore, okay, if you did that, they have to stay within that scope as well of the questions that you would be asking Dan and Karen Moore. Because remember, what's at stake here is that Dan and Karen Moore, they came back with Jill and filed a counter. They sued Jennifer Drake back. Okay. And they have economic, what's the one thing that they have left? And it also doesn't mean that it could change in court, that if you make a push and a show for something, the judge can bring something back. That was said at one of the hearings. This is just unbelievable. No police officers were put on that list. Maddie Pooh and Dana Pooh don't want to talk about the police. I mean, it's obvious. There's just, I could list off this list that the Moore should have compiled would be roughly 80 people. 80 people. Thank you, V Slims. Woohoo! 80 people. And remember, it's not about, what about the first responders? There you go. There's so many. I could rattle off my list. Okay. I could rattle you off a list and you'd be like, oh my God, yeah, what about that person? Oh my God, what about Jennifer Drake's sister, who's basically outs Jennifer Drake that she was fucking drugged by her own husband and then taken pictures of? What about the fact that she's the witness that told the cops that Brian Drake beat his kid? I mean, this is absurd. But they don't even know this. These lawyers don't even know this. And you don't know it because you didn't do your job. You got paid all this money and I have no idea what you did. Oh, yeah, I do. Nothing. You did nothing. Because you thought that you'd be able to get the Moores to just default and settle. Who the hell is going to default and settle? And then that you would scare him and bully him into thinking that we don't want to put Dan on the stand because he might confess to the murder again. What? How do you say that to people? Why would Dan ever get on the stand and confess to a murder? Are you going to let your client get badgered by Peter Erblin? That's not coming out of his mouth. Dan's not going to say, oh my God, you're right, you got me, I did it. Absurd. It's all in the pudding. Elora Gatel isn't being called by Jennifer Drake. Enough said right there. That, like, light bulbs should be going off in everybody's heads when you see the witness list for Jennifer Drake and Elora Gatel isn't on it. Like, it's like, boom. It's like, damn. Lana, you money as fuck. Elora Gatel can't take the stand. I would be deposing Elora Gatel tomorrow. Christina, woo! V says, after Karen Reed and Delphi, I really need one of these circuses to play out the right way. You guys, nothing can play out the right way in the courtroom if the people that are supposed to be playing the game are playing a different game. They don't know. They don't have, like, they have the weapons. They don't know how to use the weapons. Dan Moore and Karen Moore have the winning hand. Okay. When the truth is on your side and you can prove it, that's very, really powerful in the courtroom. You need someone to litigate it. And the Moores were very clear that they needed a litigator. We're going to trial. We need a litigator. So for these two attorneys to think that they're not going to trial was absolutely buffoon batshit crazy. Thank you so much, Christina Jarvis. Woohoo! And we're going to end it right here. Thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I have so much stuff that I've been working on, and I have to start releasing it. I got lots of material for you guys. This is sad. This is super, super sad. And there's lawyers out there that know exactly, because they've been following this case. They're from that area, and they know what's going on. Holman's interview in 5 minutes. I don't care what Holman lying ass has to say. She's doing a live with Jerry Holman. Hopefully she didn't blow him for it. Did I just say that out loud? Yeah. Jennifer Drake lied. Eldora lied, and it's all right there. And it seems like we're going to suppress that. And if that's going to be suppressed, like, it's not going to be suppressed on my watch. You know, I have people literally right now, 6 text messages that I just got through, 4 unknown numbers, 2 known numbers, saying, I'm on the witness list. What the fuck? Don't you think that I had been contacted? This is absurd. I just got text messages since I've done this live right here, right now, of people, multiple people saying, wait, I'm on a witness list. Don't you think I would have been contacted? How do you put somebody on the stand that you've never talked to? I don't even know what to say. This is so sad. All right, well, we'll be back. Go get your fix on Jerry Holman. I'll probably do a live. I have a lot that I want to talk about with the Idaho 4 case. Mainstream media is popping off because they got to keep that narrative intact. So, you know, things are really heating up when Deuce Techum subpoenas are going out. You guys, I'm telling you, Idaho 4 is going to be off the chain. This case is just like Idaho 4. It's the same investigators. It's the same ridiculous investigations, ridiculous, no critical thinking, asinine shit. And you guys can have a nice glimpse of it if you watch this case unfold here, this trial. But literally, the Moore Drake case could literally expose so much shit. And here, the Moore's own attorneys, if they go this route, these attorneys are going to protect the same people that need to be exposed, which is the police. Okay. And as well as Jennifer Drake's lies, Eldora's lies. And the arsenal of weapons is there to win and take the gold all the way home for the Moors. To see anything other than that happen because of these atrocious attorneys and the sick games that they've just played with the lives of Dan and Karen Moore since they signed on in May to now, I can't. Somebody needs to do something. I've been trying for the past week to pull out every weapon I have in my arsenal, and we'll see what happens, but I just spit because why? What the fuck? I'm on the list. Wouldn't someone have contacted me by now? That's an email or that's a text message that I just got. And I just said, who the fuck is this? Who the fuck are you? Eldorsky. God, I can't wait to see Eldora walking up the ramp to go to the courthouse. Eldora, why'd you do it? Eldora, why'd you do it? Eldora, was the dick that good? You ride in reverse, girl. Okay, Lana. Now all the holy rollers are exiting left. I'm telling you, somebody call up Matt and Dana and ask them why they just stole $200,000 off of people. Okay. Ask them, how is this not fraud? How is this not theft? How is this not something? I don't know what it is besides dog shit. My New Year's resolution is not to cuss on my show or use any sexual overtones. You guys. How fun would that be? Boring. God, there's just so much I want to say, and I'm just keeping my mouth shut. I'm keeping my mouth shut. There's so much more I need to say. Brian Drake was getting life insurance company people on the list. There needs to be one person on that list that's life insurance. Yeah. Brian Drake was receiving phone calls from a man who is a local meth dealer the night of his murder in an area, okay, where his cell phone was. This person didn't live in that area, but the night of the murder, when he was calling Brian, his cell phone is peeing on the same tower as Brian Drake. He doesn't live there. Why would he be there? It's one thing to be calling somebody. It's another thing to be that you're like smoochy with his phone. A little curse ain't gonna hurt. All right, guys, Eldora, one last time. I'll try. You know what? I'll give Eldora one last call. See if she wants to talk. See if she wants to gangbang. Eldorsky, what's up? It's Lana. How are you? You ready to come clean yet, home? I know you know what happened that night. I'm scared. I'm so scared. I never saw a white truck. They just told me to say that. No, you a damn lie, girl. We know you saw that white truck. We know that you didn't leave it no pilot. And we know that your girl Sonia, your niece, we know she was kicking it up there in Bonner's Ferry. You told the police she was sick. I want my attorney. All right, guys, do your thing. Thumbs it up. See you on the reverse side. Peace out. Thank you so much, mods. Hit the bell. Eldora, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so, Eldora. Whoosh.